My name's Dudit, Cyril Builds and Stuff, and today I've got an explosive knife build via Caliban's hand. These things are absolutely awesome. Look at the state of that. Yellow ignitions everywhere. Absolute carnage. Really strong exotic. They always have been, and we're also going to be featuring monochromatic maestro, getting a buff to our throwing knives, 10%, and other abilities. These pair really nicely together. Just getting an extra bit of damage on your throwing knife just by hitting a target. And then elemental orbs, solar, I'm also going to be featuring them, so we can run around and kill things with our knives and kill things with our solar orbs. We don't really need weapons really that much in this video. Stay tuned, I'm going to break it all down. The Caliban's hand, it's got a perk on it, roast them. Your proximity knife scorches targets it damages with its explosions or ignites targets on a final blow. After throwing a proximity knife, you increase melee recharge rate, so you want to be getting a kill with your throwing knife to cause ignitions. You need to use a proximity explosive knife, and on top of that, if you pair it with Gambler's Dodge, every time you dodge near an enemy, you're going to get a knife, so you've got infinite knives. This is what I could do with the correct fragments and mods set up. Absolute carnage, clearing out 5, 6, 7 enemies at a time very easily. You can either get a direct hit or leave it on the floor to go off like a trip man, and you do some serious damage, serious ad clearing capabilities, and you can also get a chained ignition as well. If you kill a little enemy near a big enemy, it will often see 2 or 3 pops. Now that leads me on to the seasonal artifact monochromatic maestro. Dealing ability damage increases matching weapon damage, and elemental weapon damage increases our matching ability damage, so it's a bit like a vice versa. Whenever we hit something with our solar weapon, it is going to increase our abilities by 10%. And for something like Caliban's hand, just getting an extra 10% on that proximity knife is really nice. I'm sure we've all been in the situations where our throwing knife in the past hasn't had that much damage to kill, or we've just nearly killed an enemy. Well, monochromatic maestro does that as long as you hit a target with your solar weapon. It's going to boost your proximity knife by 10%. It also works the other way as well, which is really good for damage. So if you hit something with your grenade, it's also going to give you a 10% damage increase, which does stack with sages. But the best thing to pair it with is Ember of Torches, because powered melee attacks, which we're going to do a lot on with Caliban's, also going to give you radiant. Now radiant and monochromatic maestro both stack. That's a 35% damage increase, which also stacks with weapon surges. You'll see on that bottom left as well, I've also got weapon surges running, so it's a really nice mod to fit into the Caliban's hand build. Now I'm just going to go over some important aspects and fragments. Knock them down is really important because that enhances your supers, but the bottom bit, while radiant, final blows with your equipped knife is going to refund it. On your mark also is a really good one because that gives you crazy reload speed on all your weapons for you and your teammates. Incinerating grenade I like to run because it does the max scorch, but you can run whatever you want. Proximity explosive knife, that's the one you definitely need to run with Caliban's hand. You jump, you can run whatever you want, and then Gambler's Dodge. Whenever you're near an enemy, you're going to get infinite knives. Ember of Torches, which we've touched on, that's going to make us radiant. Ember of Solace, radiant and restoration effects applied to us have an increased duration. Now these 3 are quite important because Ember of Eruption, your solar ignitions have an increased area of effect. Ember of Char to make all ignitions spread to scorch, and Ember of Ashes to apply more scorch for more ignitions. And I'm also running elemental solar orbs as well, so not only are we going to get loads of kills with our throwing knife, we can actually do loads of kills with these solar orbs as well. They're as good as Caliban's hand knives, just clearing out loads and loads of like mid-tier enemies just at will. It feels really nice, and there is quite a lot of situations where you can just run around, throw one of these orbs and a knife and clear out half a room at a time. It's absolutely crazy. So as mentioned, monochromatic maestro and radiant all stack with solar weapon surges, so I based my build around running 3 of these, so getting an extra 22% damage on top of everything else mentioned. On my cloak, I like to run Reaper, easy orb, and I also run time dilation to make my armor charges extend, and then Bottomer to get grenade cooldown every time I use my class ability. But Reaper and time dilation are really good mods. On my chest piece, I like to run a concussive dampener, every single thing I do, and then a couple of resistance mods, whatever you're doing at the time, whether it's solar, arc or void, incoming damage. On my gauntlets I run heavy-handed, it's a no-brainer, loads of melee kills, loads of orbs, and I also like to run bolstering detonation, grants class ability when I get damaged with a grenade, and then I also run fastball just to give myself a bit of extra distance on my grenades. Helmet, a harmonic siphon, I tend to stick to solar weapons, and then strand siphon or kinetic siphon, whichever other weapons you're pairing with this build, and then a heavy ammo finder. While I was making this video, I did discover a bug. I don't know if it's a well-known thing, and I haven't tested it fully, but every time I was picking up an orb, and I had Caliban's hand on, and monochromatic maestro, if you just take a look at my armor charge there, see if you can tell me what's going on. I've got no idea, but the timer seemed to completely dissipate from my solar weapon surges. They're meant to decay over time, but my armor charges were just consistently staying. I tried this in loads of different activities just to make sure it wasn't a one-off. I tried it in the raid, I tried it in dungeons, and you'll see, just watch again, I'm going to pick that orb up, and I'm also going to never ever lose my armor charges, so I don't know what that's going on. I have seen a couple of posts on Reddit from a few seasons ago where things like this was happening with certain fragments, but for me it definitely seemed to be when we had Caliban's hand on and monochromatic at the same time. My armor charge never ever decayed. So a nice little bonus, like I said, I didn't want to do a full on sort of cheese video on it, or like it's glitched or infinite this, infinite that, because I haven't tested it enough. So if you guys have seen any other bugs or anything like that, let me know. But as long as I had Caliban's hand on a monochromatic maestro, I could never ever lose my armor charges. And what I also did, if you see there, I took the Caliban's hand off, and as soon as I did, the armor charge starts to disappear. And that happened whenever I took my Caliban's hand off or unequipped the monochromatic maestro mod as well. And then as soon as I put the Caliban's hand back on, I was able to recreate the infinite armor charges as well. So again, just a nifty little thing. I'm going to do a bit more testing on this tonight and hopefully see what's actually causing it once and for all. But it definitely seems to be Caliban's monochromatic maestro. I did also try it on numerous different exotics. I put a pair of the Hunter Moth gauntlets on, the Moth Keepers, and it didn't work with them neither. I also tried it on a Phidias Spear, Bombardiers. I tried about 7 or 8 different exotics and it didn't work. You'll see here I've got the Moth Keepers wraps on, and I picked that orb up and I've got the timer. The armor charge is dissipating where it wasn't before. So yeah, that is the video. If anyone's seen these weird bugs, let me know what it is, see if we can find out what it is, and also let me know what you think of the Caliban's hand build infinite nukes, especially with the solar orbs. Thanks for watching, have a great day.